All right, good morning, United Matters channel fans. Hope you guys are really having fun. Full charge for the day as we wait to play tomorrow. And the manager of Manchester United, known as Ruben Amorim, went ahead obviously record an embezzled interview after the game of Bodo Glimt in respect to what he told the board that please, I've gone ahead to obviously do more interviews than the ones I've gone ahead to do in Sporting Lisbon. In my entire career was there, yet I've been at Manchester United for just 2 weeks, and they're like, as Eric Ten Hag used to do what we call embargoed interviews. He has been told to obviously record that after the game of Bodo Glimt that ended 3-2. And I've gone ahead to obviously pick out some topics to discuss in here, and I'm like, we are really gonna be heading into the right direction in here for you. Good morning, hope you guys are really having fun. He has also gonna hit to hint onto the game we're going to play. We're going to be playing in Liverpool, that he's in the Merseyside against Everton, and he's really positive. And Dalot and Mount have gone ahead obviously excite him as the manager, and he is over the moon, and he is really very, very defensive to these players, and he knows exactly the quality that they bring on the field of play. And let's call for 200 likes to be smashed on this video. And 2-3 hours later, after uploading this video, we are going to be coming up with a match preview. Everton entertaining Manchester United at the Goodsons Park in there. Now, Ruben Amorim has come out and obviously said the following about Diego Dalot. Remember, Diego Dalot is one of those players that never started in the game of... He played off the bench when you're beating Bodo Glimt by 3-2, and was responsible for that howler that would have gone ahead obviously result into an equalizer around the 80th minute that really called for the sweeper goalkeeping qualities of Andy Onana to be exhibited on the field of play. And he has said, Dalot looks fresh, but he's not a machine, so sometimes you have to rotate. I think he plays better on the right. He's a very good player, very powerful, who can play on both sides. And nowadays, a player who can play on both sides is perfect. He's a great player who can help the team, and he's really a team player. He's very important to us. Now, one of the things that people haven't gone ahead obviously master about Dalot is what he brings to the team of Manchester United. Him being press resistant, he can invert into the midfield, he can receive a ball from the wide areas, and he can also do what we call the overlapping in the offensive area. So he's that complete player that you need in this system, because this system rotates so much on players with huge football intelligence or huge football brains. That is it, and that is Diego Dalot for you. And when you look at him and really get your magnifying glasses and obviously look deep into him, he's one of those players that Ruben Amorim is really gonna love. And as you see him playing, Amad Diallo has a right wing back with the left foot. That's why he loves Diego Dalot to be played into the left wing back, yet he's really right footed. But the difference with Dalot is he can use both foot very well. He's double footed, not single footed like Amad Diallo. So he says he's a special player to the team because he can play as a right back, he can play as a left back, and those are the qualities that you obviously want to hear from your those are the qualities that you want to get from a player. And in this era of players getting injured a lot, you need players who can really play, a player who is really dynamic, player who can play in more than one position like Diego Dalot. And I tell you what, I have no doubt in him being played in the back three also, you understand. So with Amorim obsessed with playing Dalot as a right wing back, and obsessed with playing Dalot as a left wing back and Amad Diallo as a right wing back, with these praises he has gone ahead obviously heap onto his players. I tell you what, I don't see the likes of Malacia and Luke Shaw playing as left wing backs. You get? That is it. I think Luke Shaw is going to be considered as a player to compete with Lisandro Martinez, and maybe Malacia sometimes will come and compete with Dalot for that position, because we know how Malacia is good on the ball. He's very good, and he had 45 minutes, though he went ahead to see to it that he was outpaced by the Bodo Glimt player that resulted into us conceding a second goal that saw us lose our lead, in like 30 minutes of the game. So I think they're really going to struggle to obviously bench Dalot. That's what I think. They are really going to struggle to obviously bench Diego Dalot, because that's what Amorim loves, as he sees, as he likes Amad to play on the right wing back with an opposite foot. That's what he likes in Dalot, and he's a very good player, and he needs to rotate, and he knows to it that this system of his really needs high intensity, and the players need to rest fully to obviously recover from what would have gone ahead to disturb them into what they are supposed to be doing. So as it stands, I think Dalot is going to be the right or the left wing back, and I think with that I now know exactly what the team is going to be looking like. The fullbacks of Ruben Amorim, the wing backs in his system of 3-4-2-1 are known. Dalot on the left and Amad Diallo on the right. That is it. So, and the other factor that you have to look at is how Dalot inverts, and his ability to invert and obviously put in a dangerous cross into the 18 box area to the far post of the goal of the opponent, and also to invert and really shoot, or invert and really find in a line breaking pass, So, and the other factor that I was going to obviously see this manager hail Dalot is because Dalot is not this kind of player that will obviously go and play wide. However much the manager really has 2 10s playing centrally, and in particular on the left half space where Rashford or Garnacho are supposed to be operating in through, Dalot takes over that role and really leaves the wide areas, the left wide areas of the pitch for Rashford and Garnacho, because they are not good at operating in tight spaces, and Amad Diallo is good when it comes to operating in tight spaces. So I think he loves that about him, that he'll leave that line for players like Rashford or Garnacho, whoever plays in that role, to operate there, because the manager knows to it that they are not press-resistant players, and he lets them really enjoy themselves that side. So that is Ruben Amorim, and that's why he's really giving Dalot all those palliatives, and I think he's really right. And I think he gets himself a starting position into the game that United is really going to be playing against Everton. That is tomorrow. Now, on Mason Mount, the manager said the first thing is he's really hardworking, and then you have to understand the human also. He wants this really badly. So, looks like Mason Mount has drivers, like things that are moving him to obviously impress. We all know to it that in the first season at Manchester United, injuries were his problem, and this season he has at least tried to obviously make himself available for the season, and I think he has featured, in more games. Let me see, I want to be on record. Mason Mount, I think he has gone ahead obviously be there in more games than he was last season, as far as the number of games they've gone ahead to play. In the Premier League, he has played 4 games. In the UEFA Europa League, he has played 3. Last season, he played 14 only. And with 26 games to go, if he has played 4, that means he can obviously outnumber the number of games he played last season. Last season in the Champions League, he played 2 games, and this time round, he has gone ahead to play 3 in the UEFA Europa League. So, for Mason Mount, if you remember that pass he played when Manchester United is really taking on the side of... if you remember that pass he played when Manchester United is taking on Bodo Glimt that resulted into the 3rd goal, it was it like a backheel or what? And what made it look special was how Manuel Ugarte read the mind of this guy. You get Manuel Ugarte read the mind of Mason Mount that he was going to do this. He ran into the direction where Mason Mount directed the ball with his flick, and then Ugarte did justice to that and put in a cross that found Rasmus Højlund in a tap-in position. It was in the mouth of the goal. It was in the face of the goal, and went ahead to obviously tap that ball into the back of the net. So that's what makes this guy a special player. And I think with what the manager is really talking about Mason Mount, I won't be surprised if Mason Mount finds himself into the starting position, into the starting position of that midfield of Manchester United, because the system that Ruben Amorim is implementing needs people who really work hard. And one of those is Mason Mount, and he has told you that he really loves this, and he's like, I'm willing to give it all. So for Mason Mount, I think he's a good player, but what he's supposed to do is he should keep himself fit. That is it. He should keep himself fit. I told you, however good you are, if you're not available all the time when the team really needs you, then you are not good enough. You understand? You are only good enough if at all you are really given the right, or you are available every time your team needs you. So that's what Mason Mount needs to obviously rectify. And so the manager might obviously not even change his midfield, because Mason Mount pressed well and he got himself a secondary assist for the third goal that went ahead obviously create. But lots of players still there, and he's really giving a fair chance to every player. So we are waiting to see what is really going to happen. But in the probable starting 11, I'm going to come up with what I tell you, or with what I think the manager will really do into the mix. I'll try to read his mind. But right now, we at least have the real image. The manager looks like he has going to obviously have close to 7-8 players confirmed in his starting 11, right? That will obviously not change. Now, Ruben Amorim said, we will rotate and we will be ready. He said on Thursday night, we made changes to manage fitness, not the game. We managed fitness and we have to continue doing it. We already know that it will be like this. We have no excuses and we have to be ready for Sunday. We have to win. That's what he said. So he said we rotated to keep fitness, not because we respected the opponent. No way. So he was like, we rested these players. And which players were rested? John Evans, Casemiro, Eriksson, Marcus Rashford, Diego Dalot. 5 players were arrested from those that really went ahead obviously start the game of Ipswich. And we don't know whether all those 5 will come back or they won't come back. But he's really having a lot of pressure from these players, because these players are senior players, and the only way the world will obviously keep quiet is when you bench them and you win the game. But rotation is really going to be key. But there are those that are not going to be rotated because the manager is going to obviously find the spine of his team. Now, from that, he went ahead and obviously told us what he expects from the game of from the game of Everton. He said, a win. I hope to win. It will be a different game. There will be a lot of duels, long balls, second balls. We have to have the ball because we have little time to recover and we have to rotate. You get? So, hear that very well. There will be a lot of duels, long balls, second balls. We have to have the ball because we have little time to recover and we have to rotate. So, he knows the Everton ball, the Sean Dyche ball. You know that very well. Ball over the top, that's what he plays most, to really look for Calvert-Lewin and other players that really run into that position. And he's really very spot on, meaning that he has already gone ahead, obviously, make homework about this side of Everton, because that's the kind of football they play. Let no one lie to you that they play any other football. Everton, it's a low block, all park the bus and hit the team on the break and even set pieces. So he's like, all we have to do is we have to wait and see who is really going to come up and obviously do this. And we need to win the second balls, because when a team really hits lots of second balls, to it that whoever wins it will obviously have to use his head most of the times, not the chest. And that ball will obviously fall into a vicinity where, for one to win it and really regain possession, he has to be the most hungry of the two to obviously get the ball. And that's why he's talking about a lot of duels. We'll have to fight a lot in that midfield, because they are not going to obviously come up and obviously try to play from the back like how United is really going to play. Because for United, they'll have to be having the ball as they've gone ahead obviously doing the previous game, in the game of In the game of Ipswich, you remember, we had a ball possession of, was it 68? In the game of Bodo Glimt, we had 73%, So when you're playing Everton, you expect that you're really going to be having a possession of like 70% because Everton won't really see themselves have the ball. They are going to obviously put more time or capitalizing on moments. That is it. So the manager is really spot on as we head in the game of Everton, but he's talking of a win. And why is a win more important for the club of Manchester United in this scenario that you're really talking about? A win is more important because we are having 16 points, right? And yesterday, if you watched the game that was played in the night, Brighton went ahead to obviously play Fulham, and Brighton drew and has now 23 points. Fulham has 18, meaning that we are now having two teams. We're having a team known as Fulham, if at all, they played Southampton. Now, if we win on Sunday, we'll obviously find ourselves in a situation of really having 19 points. And which other teams really have 19? Tottenham Hotspur, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Fulham has 18, Newcastle has 18, Brentford has 17. Meaning that we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams ahead of us. And if those teams are really ahead of us, and we don't really win, then it's really going to be sending vibes of really increasing pressure onto Manchester United. So all we have to do is let's win, because most of these teams are really going to be playing today before we obviously get into the encounter on Sunday. Now, teams like Newcastle are playing today. They are playing Newcastle is going to be playing at Crystal Palace. It's not going to be an easy game. Nottingham Forest is also ahead of Manchester United. They are playing against Ipswich. Brentford is also ahead of us. They are playing against Leicester City. West Ham, I think West Ham is not ahead of us, if I'm not mistaken. Chelsea Aston Villa is tomorrow, big game, you get. And Aston Villa is really having, is it 19 points also? So we are waiting to see if at all they really lose or draw with Chelsea, and obviously we close in. Spurs, one of those teams that is having 19 points is playing Fulham, at the same time you're playing Everton before Liverpool takes on Man City. You get? So we have all what it takes. We have everything to fight for this encounter, because if we don't really fight, then we won't really find ourselves into the blessed land. Then Amorim, lastly, was asked about what he expects from the Everton match. He said, so I hope for a win, and I hope my team will be different. Like from Ipswich to today, I expect to see different and better things. So that is the manager. And we all saw to it that however much Bodo Glimt was really a much weaker opponent than the ones that we've been playing, at least there are positives and boxes that Manchester United players went ahead to obviously tick. And in the due course, you saw intensity, and the most important bit of it all is that we were a goal down, we pulled one back, and obviously completed the comeback with a goal coming in from Rasmus Højlund, and that is really great. So he's telling us that he expects improvement, and improvement is really going to be seen in that game of Everton, because the passing is really improving and the style of play is really great. And you see to it that they are goals that you want to see all the time, and you now know the moves that Ruben Amorim is really teaching these players to obviously score. And by the way, I tell you this, however much I liked Erik ten Hag, but looks like Ruben Amorim is really a man of his word, and is like, I'm not going to change this system, and we are going to be playing the same system, not until we see to it that fruits are bared from it. So that is the beauty about him, and I'll be waiting to see what your thoughts are about Ruben Amorim, heaping praises to Dalot and Mount, as he's really excited with this duo, and is like, I just can't wait to have them both onto the pitch to see to it that they obviously get us to where we want to be. So my thoughts, your thoughts onto that are welcome in the comment section below. It's a good morning in my country, and first video of the day, match previews coming up in 2-3 hours from now, and hope you people will be ready to obviously give us the superlatives about what you think about this team. I sign out. for now, bye-bye. And how many likes am I calling in for? 200 likes on this video. Bye-bye.